You are the executive director of the American Theater Wing, which governs the Tony Awards, correct?
I am the executive director of the American Theater Wing, which shares the Tony Awards with the Broadway League. So Charlotte St. Martin and I, between us, have responsibility on behalf of our organizations for the awards.
This kind of organizational setup is really important to the people at the envelope. We care probably a little too much about all this. So let's go behind the scenes and you tell us who are these 700 people who decide who wins a Tony Award?
Well, the voters you're speaking of when you speak of the 700, which is really closer to 800, is a range of members of the League, certainly producers and presenters from across the country, members of the Wing, members of Actors Equity, the Society of Stage Directors and Choreographers, the Dramatists Guild.
And journalists. This is the only of the four main peer group awards, Oscars, Emmys, Grammys, Tonys. They're journalists vote.
And you get excited about that. I think you say that every year.
I know. Well, we have to have this conversation every year because this is what we care about the most. One thing that is very surprising about this makeup that you talk about is the fact that there aren't that many, because it's really the leadership of these groups, right? These unions you're talking about, that there aren't that many actors in.
Well, that's not true.
Really? How many do you think there are?
The actors, I was told, I was speaking with John Connolly, the head of Actors Equity, the other day. He said they currently have 83 votes. Their votes go to the members of the Equity Council, who are actually rank-and-file actors who serve within the union. Certainly, if you looked at the lists from the Dramatists Guild or the Society of Stage Directors and Choreographers, these are major writers, major directors, major choreographers who would be very familiar to you. So it's not people squirreled away in offices who are making these decisions, it's practitioners, and we want that to be very much part of this. They are meant to be awards for peers. There are awards for producers. Producers are involved. There are awards for directors, designers, actors, and they are all involved in the process as well. You know, what we have is a challenge differently than many of the other awards you cover, certainly the Emmys, the Oscars, the Grammys. You can't reproduce what we do. You have to go into a theater at a certain time and see a certain show. Consequently, it is a challenge because actors are often working, which means they don't have the time to see shows. So we have that difficulty of we want to include as many of the practitioners as possible, but many of those practitioners, thank God, have other work to do, and first and foremost, they need that paycheck.
If there is a Tony Award yet to be created that might be, what would it be? Do you hear from actors, for example, who say there should be an ensemble acting award or a casting award? What's the biggest cry that you hear from people of an award not yet existing?
There are certainly different constituencies that would like to see awards, and some of the challenges of that is some of those suggestions are awards that would be very hard for someone sitting outside the process to objectively adjudicate. But I want to ignore that because the fact is for this year, because we have a new award this year. It's an award that's special, and it's very special to the Wing, and that's the Isabel Stevenson Award. It's a new honorary award. It's not a competitive award that's voted on. It happens within the Tony administration process. But, you know, Antoinette Perry, of course, is a name that we managed to figure out a way to commemorate 63 years ago, and her name lives on through the Tony Awards. But Isabel herself was part of the Tonys for at least 37 years as both president and later chairman of the Wing, and the idea that now there is a award recognizing Isabel and tying it to service, that it's for people in this community who give of their time and their energy on behalf of charitable causes, I think is extraordinary. I think and I hope that it is a way that Isabel's name will be forever tied with the Tonys. And the fact of the matter is, for all of the other things that we might do in the future or that people would like to see us do, I'm very gratified that now, almost over 5 years since Isabel passed away, her name is now linked with the Tonys. So for my purposes, we did a good job this year, and that's the new award.
I knew Isabel well, and she, as everybody did who's around us here today at this nomination, she was a great lady.
And she was a great lady, but, you know, as time goes on, I mean, when these awards were created, everyone knew Antoinette Perry. Now, if you ask about Antoinette Perry, they may be curious or quizzical. No one realizes that at a time when Broadway was, if you think it's a boys' network now, think of what it was in the 30s and 40s. Antoinette Perry directed 13 or 14 Broadway shows, the most famous of which was the original production of Harvey. For a woman to do that in the 30s and 40s, after a long career as an actress, was quite extraordinary. Over time, she is less familiar. All of us do know Isabel, and many of the people in the room had a chance to know Isabel. This is a way that Isabel is going to be remembered, even after you and I, who had the chance to know her, may not be around any longer.
I'm all for that award. Thank you, Howard.
Thank you, Tom.